I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But Ian, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Hey, I got to know.
All right, today we're going to do a review of the Smith Wesson Model 29 44 Magnum revolver. This is a classic revolver. This is the Dirty Harry gun. Now what you're looking at here is a 4-inch barrel, Model 29 Smith Wesson. It is, as I said, the Dirty Harry gun, except, you know, Dirty Harry's gun in that movie was a 6-inch barreled version of this exact same thing. So this is a double action revolver, meaning, of course, that it can be fired simply by squeezing the trigger, and it's going to, as you can see, rotate the cylinder to put a fresh round in front of the firing pin and then fire. Or it can be fired on single action, where you pull the hammer back and then squeeze the trigger, and away it goes. Of course, I'm riding this trigger back, or this hammer back. I'm not letting it fall on its own for safety purposes, and just I think it's a good habit to get into. So this has Goncalo Alves grips. A little bit different type of grip they're putting on today than they used to be putting on. They used to be a much wider grip, have kind of a thumb rest right over here. I'm not so sure that I like this really thin grip. We'll see when we take it out to the range. I'm more accustomed to the wider grip, but it might be just fine. I've already had some people say that they actually prefer this thinner grip, so we'll see how that works. This is a combat trigger. It's a grooved trigger, a little bit wider. This is a combat hammer. Again, a little bit wider hammer, kind of an aggressive knurling on it. It's a white outline rear sight that's fully adjustable for both windage and elevation, and the classic red ramp front sight blade. This revolver, as you can see, is blued, and it's what Smith & Wesson calls a deep blue. And to get an appreciation of that, that actually is different than just a standard bluing that you see on a lot of revolvers or a lot of firearms. This is really dark. It's almost like there's a depth to it when you look at it in person. I'm not so sure that the camera's going to pick it up. We'll try to get a different camera on this in just a little bit. But also for comparison, this is this here is a Ruger Vaquero, also in 44 Magnum, 7.5-inch barrel, kind of the cowboy action type of gun. I've had this gun for years. It's a nice gun, a lot of fun to shoot this gun, but it has a traditional standard bluing on it. Again, I don't know if you can pick that up, but when you look at the two side by side, this is a little bit different here. I should point out this is a case hardened type of finish on this part, but a traditional bluing on the barrel and the cylinder. So if you compare that side by side, I think you'd be able to see pretty clearly this is a different type of bluing that Smith & Wesson is putting on these things. Very deep, bright bluing, and I really like that. Very nice job. We'll see how well it shoots. This 44 mag over here is quite accurate. I'm very comfortable with it. Of course, it is single action only. That means only this. You squeeze the trigger here, pull the trigger now, it doesn't do anything. So you have to, of course, single action only. And it's got a nice trigger as well. But the focus today is on this Model 29, and in the box there's the standard stuff. Again, the good review with safety and instruction manual. I've been looking this thing over in preparation for taking it out to the range. And I picked up also one of these HKS speed loaders. I highly recommend these for double action revolvers with these swing out cylinders. That's very handy. You just load this thing up, or load a couple of them up, line the cartridges up with the charge holes in the cylinder, and once they're in place, you simply turn this knob like that, unlock them, they'll fall into the charge holes, and you're all set. Get a bit of a close-up here of this revolver. There's that combat hammer, combat trigger. If you look here, I was looking at this, there's actually a little bit sloppy fitting of this grip right there. It doesn't quite fit beautifully, perfectly, like I'm kind of accustomed in a firearm of this quality and this price. Not bad here, not a great fit though, again, on that, but a nice fit on the bottom of that as well. Pretty nice checkering, should get a good grip on the hand that way. It's a nice look at the bluing. Okay, we're gonna give a little test to the trigger itself and see how heavy it is. To me, it feels really nice on single action. So we're going to use one of these Wheeler trigger pull scales. They're real nice units, pretty inexpensive. So we're going to go ahead and set this gauge to 0, to nothing. So before we get started with that, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate once again. This is an unloaded revolver. £2, 3, 4, 4.5, 5. So 5 pounds.
So we're on the Smith & Wesson website right now, and that Model 29 has or uses a N frame. It's a large frame revolver. But Smith & Wesson has a number of different revolver frames, starting off with the smallest, called the J frame revolver, and these are, kind of your snub nose revolvers. You can see that they're used in the 22s all the way up to 357 mag and a lot of 38 specials. Then we have the medium frame K and L frame revolvers. And I used to have a Model 586 revolver, similar to the 686, and the 6 prefix versus the 5 simply means that it's stainless steel. Then we have the next is the large frame revolvers. These are the N frames. As I said, the Model 29 is an N frame revolver. KL frame, the L frame came in about the 1980s, and the N frame's been around since 70s at least, when Smith & Wesson introduced the Model 29 in 44 Magnum. And then not too long ago, Smith & Wesson introduced the X frame revolver, which is now the world's most powerful handgun, the Smith & Wesson 500 Magnum. And of course there's also what's called the Z frame, and these are the governors. So a real long cylinder here so that it can fire the 410 shot shells, as well as 45 ACP with a moon clip and the 45 Colts. So that moon clip on the 45 ACP is kind of the same thing as that Taurus 9mm that we also have reviewed a couple of weeks ago. If you're looking for a Model 29, you're not going to find it too easily under the large frame. It's considered a classic, so you need to go to the classics page, and then you'll find the Model 29, and the one that we're reviewing, the one we're looking at, is this one right here. This is the gun. As you can see, it retails for $1,000. I paid just over $800 with shipping and insurance on the shipping, so I got a good deal on that revolver, and it's a nice revolver. The other one that's kind of interesting is this Performance Center. I'm going to show you this Stealth Hunter that they've got. This is a cool looking handgun, cool looking revolver, also in .44 Magnum, and that's just a neat looking revolver. As you can see, it's got a rail system on it, ready to put a scope on it. And if you're into handgun hunting with the handguns, that I think would be really nice. I don't hunt with handguns, so it's just one of those guns that I will appreciate by looking at it, and maybe I'll get a chance to handle one someday. But it's essentially a Model 29. Nonetheless, that's kind of a neat looking gun as well.
So we're going to show you how to load and use one of these HKS speed loaders. If you look down inside here, as I turn it from locked to unlocked, you'll see a little locking mechanism show up right inside here where my finger is, and that either locks it into the extractor groove of the case or it lets it go. That's the whole secret of how these things work. Pretty easy. Let's go ahead and load it up and get ready to go. Okay, so these are 240 grain bullets, jacketed hollow points. We're going to use this speed loader. Obviously, we first need it in the unlocked position, and we just drop one in, two, 3. We'll load 5 so we can always leave it on a empty chamber or empty charge hole of the cylinder. Then when I lock it, you're going to notice they all kind of straighten up. It won't come out. I take the revolver, push this forward, open this up, just lay this in there like that. Now it's locked in this way, and I unlock it and release. We're good to go. I'm going to set this up so it goes and locks in on an empty charge hole. Looks like she shoots a little low, but I can adjust those sights, Well, that's interesting. I got 3 shots grouping pretty well, but then I threw two of them, quite a ways off. It's all right. And when you hit it like that, away she goes.